Here's the bad news. The Twins didn't sweep the lowly White Sox. Here's the good news. The Twins took 2 out of 3 in the series against the lowly White Sox. Here's more good news. If the Twins continued on a pace of winning 2 out of 3 for the rest of the season, they'd finish with 101 victories. Even more good news. If the Twins won 2 out of every 3 games in the playoffs, they'd win the World Series. See where we're going? If you want to go there too, you better get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who gets 2 out of every 3 words correct. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who gets his hair cut 2 out of every 3 days a week. I may be exaggerating a little bit. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You cannot find us at Puckett's Pond anymore, so stop looking. But there's always Access Twins and Zone coverage. On the podcast today, the Twins fail to sweep against those dastardly White Sox. But here come the Angels to target, so maybe Pablo Lopez makes his triumphant Ron Burgundy return to the rotation Friday night against the Angels. Will Angels skipper Ron Washington's team make it incredibly hard on them? The White Sox, and I screwed that up, but Royce Lewis, he's playing.
Yay!
Playing on Friday, too, for St. Paul as he begins his rehab assignment. Willie Castro, not playing anymore for now after the Twins finally put him on the IL. Because
won't he, Castro?
Won't he?
Won't he?
Because of his strained oblique, which Dr. Brown here, if I may, said as soon as they said he's got a strained oblique, they should have put him on the IL. But no, the Twins know better. Well, they finally put him on the IL.
You just love Mickey Gasper.
They do. Mickey Gasper's back. Mickey Gasper can't play shortstop, so hopefully Carlos Correa will remain 5x5, and Brooks Lee's back will be okay, and there'll be enough people to play shortstop just in case. David Festa, he's not here anymore either. He pitched well for the Twins, but now circumstances put him back with St. Paul. And also the Twins try and paint it as, well, we have too many good players. Are you buying that, Brandon? Don't answer that yet. Patrick Royce of the Star wrote about Tony Oliva and Kent Herbeck suffering recent strokes. We'll be talking about them a little bit. Icons for sure.
Yeah, they're
both okay, but it's still scary to hear about. And now we have our episode, and we can just jump right in, Brandon. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? I mean, I think we kind of went into the White Sox series thinking, well, here comes a sweep, but also knowing they're probably not going to sweep because they're not really playing that well right now. So did it go pretty well, all things considered?
Yeah, I mean, as world famous poet Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And so it was frustrating because they just couldn't get anything going against Shane Smith, who, I mean, Twins fans are no stranger to good Rule 5 picks, but he could turn out to be a pretty dang good one. Big high-end velocity. And like Glenn Perkins said, the strikeouts are starting to match his swing and miss, which, you know, that's guys learning to pitch as opposed to just throw. So he'll be fun to watch. Twins don't have the White Sox again until August. So I suspect one or maybe both of these teams will look a lot different then. But taking 2 out of 3, still frustrating offense. I think I said it on Tuesday. Like, even if the Twins won that game, it was still an inexcusable effort offensively. Frustrating on, I want to say Sunday, but it was a Thursday that felt like a Sunday. Twins get into the bullpen, and then that's when the game gets called. The White Sox bullpen has been way more vulnerable for the Twins than their starters have. And so maybe the Twins have a chance to come back. But we were discussing off the air, too, that I think it's the Twins' call when it comes to starting the game, and it's MLB's call when it comes to ending the game. Now, with that said, wasn't that rainy here? Like, it was coming down, but I thought they could have finished that game eventually. And I know they got to get out of town, but their Angels were also grumbling about playing a night game against the Pirates last night. I just think the Twins and White Sox should have played that game out.
Yeah, for sure. And Phil Miller was on his game writing in the Star Tribune about the Angels' angle on this and how they're notorious for never having night games on, or for always having night games on getaway days. And from their standpoint, they were complaining about the timing of it all and how they had to, they were coming in after, like you said, after a night game, and it was unfair to them. And I don't know. I think for the most part, Major League Baseball addresses schedule things to, as much as they can with the players, and they're as fair as they can be when they're balancing, how fair are we going to be with the players versus, well, how small of a gate are we willing to accept?
Yeah.
Because it's a day game in the middle of the week. I think I have less sympathy for players on just about any issue other than this one. It's like, you're playing a baseball game. I know it's a long season, but suck it up and play. And if it's whether it's a day game or a night game, I think that there are plenty of ways that the players are exploited. I'm not sure that this is necessarily near the top of the list. I do wonder, though. I joke all the time about how it'd be nice if we had the Metrodome, that we wouldn't have to worry about these rainout games. I'm not saying that we should trade in Target Field, lovely Target Field, for the Metrodome, but you could, unless there was like a big snow and the roof fell in, you could always count on the roof being there in the Metrodome. You can't necessarily count on the weather in April, May, and into June for the precipitation for Minneapolis. So
big Sano, you say? Does that mean the Twins are bringing back Miguel Sano, like our friend Greg Masterson likes to say?
No, they're not bringing it back. I can't believe that. I saw a lineup the other day where Buxton and Sano were both rookies in the lineup or something like that. I couldn't.
Probably 2015.
Yeah, it's 2015. I still can't believe that was true. It still seems to me like a million years ago, and yet not that long ago. So that kind of blew my mind a little bit. But I would like to see the technology invented where there's like a giant umbrella, where you don't have to have a dome stadium so much, but you can just sort of flick a button, and a big umbrella will come and cover the field in something out of Star Trek or something, where maybe the temperature, you're at the mercy of whatever the temperature is, but the precipitation can be blocked by a nice umbrella.
Wasn't
that technology done? Wasn't
that the plot for the Simpsons movie?
Yeah, sort of. It was the doming of Springfield, but that was more like a Stephen King angle on it. They were there was a Twilight Zone turnabout there, so there's probably unintended consequences. I don't think we're going to get my big umbrella idea anytime soon. It's kind of like my big sponges idea for flooding. And, I think there should be some big sponges like in the New York subway, just in case there's flooding. I'm sure there's like some kind of, unintended consequence with the rats that they'll like eat the sponges, and I don't know, but
they'll eat the sponges and then
yes, and then they'll explode. There'll be rat guts everywhere. And it'll, maybe we're writing Stephen King's next novel for him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but rather than worry about the weather, let's talk also about how Pablo Lopez is coming back. He's going to make his start Friday in the series opener against the Angels. Angels thumbnail scouting report. They don't hit all that well. They're not really that good pitching, although their starting is better than the relief. The relief is horrible. So if the Twins can just kind of hang around for a few innings, I think they'll be able to, if they've had trouble tacking on runs late, I don't think that's going to be the case against the Angels. I think this is another good candidate for a sweep that'll end up being a 2 out of 3.
The relievers have thrown the fewest innings in MLB, but it has come with an ERA of like 5.11, a 1.6 WHIP, and an 800 plus OPS against. So their starters are averaging the 5th most innings per start, and that's probably kept the bullpen from looking worse than it is. And outside of Kenley Jansen on the back end, I don't know that there's really anybody you got to worry too much about. I think Ben Joyce is down, right? I think he's hurt.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And so it's Kyle Hendricks. Twins, as you might expect, teams hit sub 90 mile-per-hour fastball is a lot better than over 90, but the gap for the Twins is massive, and that's exactly what Hendricks does. He's the slowest fastball from a starting pitcher in MLB today, and that doesn't mean that much because guys like that, like Zach Greinke a few years ago, if they've got it going, they can locate it, and velo doesn't always mean that much. But this is another chance for the Twins to continue their get-right path, which, Rome wasn't built overnight. I felt like there were times that the White Sox did White Sox things, and the Twins only did slightly less White Sox things to beat them. There were times the Twins did really not take advantage, and they're going to have to turn this thing around. The Angels are going to give them a chance. Angels under 500, but closer to 500 than the Twins. It's Angels have had the fewest plate appearances in MLB with runners in scoring position, yet they've stranded an incredible number of runners. And so if you want a team that's down bad offensively, the Angels are right there with the Twins in a lot of respects.
We talk about what should happen out there just based on the talent on both sides of the team, both sides of the aisle with both teams. But I think that not only could the Twins use a sweep, but they could use a nice, relatively easy series as far as the results go. Something where, they're not pressing to tack on runs late after, missed opportunities in the first few innings. Something where they don't have to use high leverage bullpen guys the entire series. Something where the starting pitchers consistently go deep into games. I'm not even talking about like a long streak here, just a few games. And they still, they got to another 2-game winning streak again against the White Sox. They still haven't won 3 straight since mid-August last year. I would just like to see, for their own sake, some daylight between the Twins and the so-called worst team that they're playing. And I think this is another good chance for that. We're gonna take our first break though, and when we do return, we'll talk a little bit more about having Pablo Lopez back, along with the other issues that are confronting the Twins on this day.
Well, scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. And with Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and much more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. So whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You can find the right talent. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day with multiple candidates qualified to choose from, makes it fast and easy to make your hire. And instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps you find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
Locked On Twins is back, trying to will the Twins to at least another 2 out of 3. I did some calculations. Actually, I let the computer do the calculations, Brandon. And if they did win 2 out of 3 the rest of the way, they never won 3 games in a row again, but they did win 2 out of 3 every 3 games. They'd finish with like 91 points or 90 point something victories. And I rounded up. I gave the Twins the benefit of the doubt.
I thought you said 101 in the cold.
No, but they'd finish with the rest of their games. They'd win 91.
Got it.
And
okay.
They've already got 9. So I added those 2 numbers together, and I got 100 point something.
You must have used Google Sheets for that one.
It was some old prehistoric internet website about calculations. I knew you wanted to throw a number into a divisor, but who knows. So I think that's not. I mean, they're probably not going to win 2 out of every 3 games. This team, we might have overshot the expectations a little bit, but something like that could be in order. I know that getting Royce Lewis back should help. Now, he did not end last season, as we all remember, hitting all that well. He kind of ended it in a fun. I know he didn't. He doesn't do slumps, but he did one last year.
No, and slumps are short term. Whatever he did was a lot worse than a slump.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a rut. It was a ravine, a crevasse,
a gorge.
Right. But now he can engorge himself on AAA pitching because he is going to St. Paul starting tonight, weather permitting. Is it supposed to rain there? How's the weather looking in the Twin Cities?
A little gloomy, but
And just look out the window.
I'm looking out the window now. Sun's poking out a little bit. I think we'll be fine. It won't get nasty again until Monday, and apparently it's going to be pretty nasty then. But Twins will be in the Cleve by then, so it won't matter.
Oh, the big series. Everyone's favorite team, the Guardians. That'll be good for the mental health of Twins Twitter.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But we're going to get ahead of ourselves there too much. I have been I've seen, I don't know what it was I was expecting, but they have video of Royce on various accounts, Twins accounts and other reporters, Bobby Nightingale, of him doing his little sprints. And I was just encouraged. I just feel like he's going to provide a spark and he can help the offense out. And, who cares what it does to the roster as far as, well, is someone going to get sent down? I'm not sure who that would be, but I think Royce Lewis, at least as a DH in the lineup, that portends good things for the Twins. It can only, you've added him then, and you have Keyshaw to the lineup, who has been a revelation and a wunderkind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly what the team needs. Just if they keep putting people on base, sooner or later, one of them is going to knock somebody in.
You'd sure hope. Yeah, and I think Brooks Lee's emergence as a solid option at third base defensively would allow them to bring Lewis along slowly. Now, the counter to that is if they're not playing Keishel at second base as much, then maybe it just becomes a jumble, a bingo roller where you move guys wherever you go on any given day. But
not a hot dog roller, though. Not a hot dog roller.
No, that is not a hot dog roller. I'm just happy to see you. It's though you could do Brooks Lee at second, and you could do Royce at third and Keishel DH. You might find out if they like Keishel at first base at all or Julian at first base at all. Ty France has been, I'd say, good, not great, or at least respectable, but to judge him in any way that you don't judge the rest of the lineup wouldn't be fair either. So it's going to be a situation where they have enough good players talent-wise to cover things. It's just going to be a matter of when do these guys start freaking hitting and who starts hitting more quickly to stake their claim to playing time, because Keishel certainly has some equity based on how he's played just in this small sample size, but he could also get cold and Edouard Julien could bypass him. So again, I did not see offense being this team's issue, or at least not an issue. I could have seen it being, okay. I did not see them being, 26th in runs scored per game. And I don't see that over the long haul, but that's not the kind of thing you say to an average Twins fan and say, oh, it's going to be okay. They'll score runs. There's no evidence of that right now. You just are not seeing that any proof that it's going to manifest. And so I understand the frustration and I'm feeling it too. But that means, though, when guys come back, there's going to be tough decisions to make. And that's where you want to be as an organization, having to know that whoever you send back is going to be upset because they belong at this level or think they belong. So we'll see how that all comes to fruition. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And that might mean that somebody else gets hurt in the meantime. So knock on wood. I'm not going to do that because the dog's right here. Let's hope that the Twins can get healthy on their position player front and start swinging it better, because this is embarrassing.
Keyshaw has been obviously contributing well offensively on a historic pace, or started out on a historic pace, having stolen bases in his first 5 games, matching the record of people like Vince Coleman and Donnell Nixon, Otis's brother. I'm not sure if I've seen every play that he's made at second base. He's played, I believe, 2 games at second base. I've seen at least one throw in both of those games, and both of the throws were not good.
Ty France saved him.
Yeah, Ty France saved him once, and there was another throw that was just kind of a lollipop.
Yes.
Did I just catch a small sample size, or
no?
Is that the state of a man who had Tommy John surgery less than a year ago?
Makes you wonder, how pitchers, like, I'm trying to think of who the pitcher was that explained this to me, because I did a series called the Tommy John Files for Zone Coverage. By the way, I'm ready for Zone Coverage again. So That's starting.
Oh, they finally got you.
Finally wore me out. But it might have been Jeremy Hefner who said you basically throw through discomfort once you're fully healthy to break up scar tissue and that sort of thing. The lollipop throw and all that makes me wonder if there's some tentativeness there that he's not throwing through, and justifiably so. I mean, you've had one of the most serious injuries for anybody who throws the baseball. So I think that's only going to get better. But pitchers, I mean, Joe Nathan's first year back was iffy. A lot of guys, it's just going to be that way. Fortunately, at second base, you can live with that a little more than you can anywhere else. With that said, if Ty France doesn't really take off, I wouldn't have a problem with mixing and matching at first base with Keishel either. So we'll see what happens, but I think you're pretty much right on the nose. The throws have not been great. Hasn't cost the Twins really to this point, but certainly could. It kind of feels like we're talking about Edouard Julien a year or so ago.
Right. And Julien's been better defensively so far, although he started out better last year too, and then regressed as the season went on. And the pressures, I don't want to say the pressure got to him like he's mentally inept, but I mean, when he started to have to worry about his hitting, I think you could probably tell that his defense wasn't as good.
The nature of the game too is the game attacks you and you have to attack back. And he didn't have that down the stretch, and hopefully he gets there.
There was another coming to mind yesterday. It was one of those, I'm going to turn a double play here, Keishel at second base, and then he didn't turn anything. He was obviously rushing to pivot and throw to second base and just kind of whiffed on the ball. That was another thing. I don't remember if that cost them or not. I think they might have gotten out of that, but
yeah, because 2 of the 3 runs were solo homers.
Yeah, so they got out of it, but there was one play where it wasn't the throw, but it was the other things about playing defense. And this is not, I don't mean to be critical of the guy who hasn't played but a handful of innings, mostly in the minors at second base, since August. I wouldn't expect him to be at his best. I'm just saying, if Keishel's going to be in the lineup and we've got Royce Lewis and we've got Julien, there are some defensive question marks that go along with those bats. So,
and we're going to look at this as a very big missed opportunity for Jose Miranda, especially. Not his fault he got hurt, but man alive, the potential was there for him to take that third base job and really make it tough for the Twins to bench him, and he did the opposite of that.
All right, we are going to take our last break, and then we have more Twins things to talk about when we return.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's supplyhouse.com. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always speak to a real person. And if you're a trade pro looking for an extra edge, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM, TM as in Trademaster, of course, and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Also, use the promo code SH5, that's Scott Hattiberg 5, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. You like that subtle Hattiberg reference with Washington coming into town?
Washington.
Ron
Hattiberg.
Washington.
Oh, Ron Washington. I'm like, the Nationals are coming to town?
No, yeah, they're just coming to hang out. But it's like the Mike Francesa. Do you think the San Francisco Giants and the New York Giants ever get together for dinner when they're both in town? It just
Did Francesa say that once?
No, somebody asked him, and he
Oh, okay.
Apoplectic.
Why are you asking? Why is Francesa asking Dave Brown questions?
But and still, my favorite bit is the Who's Stan Lee. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Who cares?
I've seen that.
That's so good.
Francesa. I never liked him, but it's fun when people make fun of him. So
there's an entire account. It's called Back After This, and it's hysterical.
I followed that before Twitter killed that account of mine, but
Sorry.
Hey, I want to talk about this for sure. And then if there's more twin stuff like current to chat about, if we have time, we'll do that. Just kind of holding on here because Tony Oliva and Ken Herbeck recently had strokes, and these are two of the best Twins players ever. And it was a really well-written story by Royce about both of them. It's a hard subject to talk about, and yet he made it newsy and featurey at the same time. But they both, Oliva's 86, and I think Herbeck's maybe 20 years younger.
Born at 60. So
right.
65?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And Herbeck was having knee surgery, and he's like, to his wife, I can't talk. And Oliva was on a Spanish broadcast in late March, and he told his daughter, "Oh, I wasn't saying the words that I wanted to." Just really frightening stuff.
Yeah.
They are okay. Herbeck, says he's passed all the cognitive tests. It's just a matter of him moving slower. So, and he's like, well, he didn't think that Herbeck said, I didn't think I was a prime candidate. I'm a little overweight, but his cholesterol and things like that, other markers were good. So
he looks good too. I mean, he looks a lot better than he used to.
That's good. That's good for him. So hopefully this isn't going to be too much of a setback as far as their lives go. But it's just, it's scary when, we don't really know most, fans, maybe some fans have met Herbeck and Oliva. It's not like they're family members, but more like an extended family. And we get worried about them. And I just hope they're okay. And I think they're okay, but it's just frightening because their mortality is, something that we don't want to deal with.
Well, and especially in light of Rod Carew dealing with all the heart stuff. I mean, it's been a tough stretch for Twins legends, and Tony Oliva might be the most forward-facing organizational ambassador that exists. He's everywhere, always, and they even run a short commercial with him advertising a credit union on the games. And until the last day or so, we had no idea he'd been through this, in and out of the hospital for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Hopefully both of them are on the mend. Certainly strokes and anything with the brain or the heart are terrifying. And so I thought maybe Herbeck would have said something like, I didn't know I could get any slower. That's just kind of his sense of humor. But
right.
Onward and upward. Hopefully those guys are both feeling better and ready to get things going again.
Yeah, Tony Oliva is very much like how Minnie Minoso was with the White Sox. They're both from Cuba. Oliva's a little. Minnie's no longer with us, but both in the Hall of Fame now, and very much ambassadors of the game, and bilingually so, and important for that standpoint of they represent a wide array of people and are beloved in their own way. So having grown up with Minoso with the White Sox, and then Tony Oliva, I can identify a lot with him and how Twins fans feel about him. So I'm wishing them both the best. As far as the current roster goes, I did want to mention one more thing about Lewis. I'm for some reason excited to see him darting and sprinting as in his warm-ups for getting back on the field after his hamstring issue. Rocco mentioned, though, that he's going to have to play at least a couple games, full 9 innings. Now, they said the same thing about Brooks Lee down in the minors, and I think they might have cut that short by a day.
2 or 3.
But yeah, at least. But so
Lewis
that'll
feels
be the
like
next
5
thing.
to 7 to me.
What's that?
Lewis feels like 5 to 7 games for me down there.
Right. And those don't all have to be full 9-inning games at third base. But once he's played one 9-inning game at third base, keep an eye on the next game. And when he does that again, then the Twins are on the verge of bringing him
I think
back.
on back-to-back days, too. I think if there's a day between it, you still kind of – but, yeah, back-to-back days, and he's ready to go. Let's see. I don't think – they're in the midst of a – 13-game and 13-day stretch. So they're going to be needing some reinforcements. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe meets the team in Boston on the 2nd. I think that would probably be about right.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good for the first week in May. As of a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't necessarily, we were kind of caught between, well, how's Royce's progress versus, well, they said it would be up to 8 weeks. and it's going to be about that in the end. So I wasn't sure if he was going to make that deadline as of a couple weeks ago, but he seems to have passed a big hurdle. So that's good news there.
So what's this rally sausage thing?
Oh yeah, the rally sausage. I talked to Kyle Farmer, who is in town for the Rockies. I talked to him for zone coverage. Speaking of the devil, and I asked him how he was doing, and he's doing pretty good. He's hitting well. He's playing most of the time for the Rockies. He wasn't in the lineup for the last couple of games when I talked to him, but he had played most of the time down there and was hitting about league average when you, account for Coors Field and all that. And he does. He misses the Twins. He said he's going to miss Minnesota because he loved being on the river and on Lake Minnetonka and Lake Wayzata. Is that how you pronounce it? Wayzata. Okay. He's going to miss those things, but he's in a good spot still in Colorado to do some fly fishing. And he misses guys in the lineup. Vasquez texts him or FaceTimes him pretty much every day, and they talk for a while. And so it's funny that they're friends, but they do seem they're guys who are interested in having making the season go by a little easier on the 162 games. So Vasquez comes up with things like the Polaroid for after the game, and the helmet, the brush helmet. And of course, Kyle, they're also linked by the rally sausage. And I asked Farmer, does he know the whereabouts of the rally sausage? And he's like, that might be in the archives somewhere, but I think wherever it is, I'm going to have to text Rocco. There's probably going to be some mold on it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that means that there really is still a rally sausage somewhere, or if he was just like hoping it was in the archives and not in a trash bin. So, and the Rockies, though, are kind of going through similar things to the Twins. They're not winning a lot of games. They don't have a lot of offense, and they just fired their hitting coach. Not that the Twins have done that, but people have talked about making changes to the coaching staff, the managerial staff, or whatever. And Farmer's like, I don't think that stuff matters as much as bringing in a new hitter or the hitters doing what they can do. Yeah, and it's just a matter of people. Getting hot at once and taking advantage of the situation.
Scapegoat situation. Well, maybe the rally sausage is just the friends that we made along the way.
Maybe it is. I didn't get a chance to ask him if he's going to come up with some kind of like rally Rocky Mountain oysters for the Rockies, but maybe that will be, imagine, him throwing and getting hit in the face with one of those after a home run.
Well, and what do they got? 4 or 5 wins. It probably wouldn't look good to start something like that now, but
not yet.
4-20.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh, and it was just 422, but that's not something you want to celebrate or light up about. So with that note, we're going to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening for Locked On Twins, saying that we are going to Alexei Casilla tomorrow night. Sausage.